Great title if we're talking about the bodies of our leads in this film. Jamie?
Yeah.
Let's go watch? Perfect. Everybody, welcome to another episode of Good Times, Great Movies. We're an 80s movie podcast where every other week we watch a different movie from the 80s and then we talk about it.
Yeah.
My name's Doug McCambridge. I'm one of your two hosts. And with me, as always, thrusting,
Doing
sweating.
my pelvic thrusting.
Just thrusting and sweating, running in place. I don't know.
Jump roping. I'm jump roping.
Getting on one of those steppers. Wasn't that a thing? They didn't have any in this movie.
Oh, they didn't have them in this movie, but I took a whole class on that.
You did?
I took a gym class, a step aerobics gym class.
Okay. I was going to say, my mom always had one like floating around the house during I was about to say during the aerobics craze, but that would have been later than this movie. So
yeah, it was a little, because
know.
they did. I think they did like the 80s aerobics, what we see in this movie. And then they gave us that step block thing. And now it's like what is that? The Peloton is the new thing, right?
Yeah, they made it larger and way more complicated. For computer chips.
Very expensive. You used to just get this like rectangular box that you could lift to different heights, and now they're like
like other tiny plastic boxes could stack on
to put
top
under
of
it.
And that's what you would do. Oh my God. Anyway, we are here to talk about we're in the middle of Jamie Lee Sember.
That's right.
If you were like, wait, what do you mean you're in the middle of it? This is the first I'm hearing. Well, that's because you're not a patron, so you didn't hear us talk about I'm going to say David Copperfield headlined film Terror Train.
Terror Train, right.
And my thought was, you know what? Our last Jamie Lee movie is going to be a comedy. You know what? Both of these two were pretty damn funny.
Yeah. What was this considered?
Just a romance.
Oh, it is romantic. Yeah.
Sure, but it seems aggressive to have a 2-hour-long romantic movie.
Well, you said but when you read the premise of this movie before we even knew how long it was, you were like, I really don't know how they're going to make just this reporter and his story work for a whole movie. Like, what else is the subplot? And they kind of give us, like you said...
And the writer said, what about 2 stories?
Yeah, what if he's in our writing 2 articles?
I don't know what's happening with the
You haven't told me enough about the second story. I didn't understand the first time why. I didn't understand... Yeah. Let's get into it.
It really was like they were like, well, let's... Like 2 ideas for 2 very different movies. And they said, well, let's just put these together. Because on their own, maybe there's not enough to carry a movie. And I would argue, together, there might not be enough to carry a movie. But yeah, it is perfect. Ooh, from 1985. With Jamie Lee, John Travolta, we will get into some other folks that are in this movie. Mary Lou Henner, what is she doing?
Mary Lou Henner with her obsession with her boobs.
Yeah, it's basic. This movie is starring John Travolta, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Mary Lou Henner's boobs.
And Lorraine Newman is in it from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, there's one of my favorite parts of this movie. I am not a person who watches credits. I don't care about the Marvel universe, so I'm not sitting through the credits to watch whatever Thor find another hammer or whatever happens at the end of those.
Right.
When the credits started and it is the cast, even people that have not been working out this movie working out when
it's
their
kind of fun
character name comes up just for a couple beats without actually then crediting the actor. I was like, this is so much fun. I kind of wanted to keep going with every single person.
But they only do about 7 of them, right? They only do like the leads.
Right. I wanted the old guy who was on trial to be dancing around. No, sorry. There's like you said, about 7 people doing this. And I loved how John Travolta's, he was just standing, panting.
He's just goofy.
Sweating. Hilarious.
Yeah.
I can't.
The closing credits were a lot more fun than the opening credits. But I will say, you had to know that a movie that starts in Jersey City was going to be a crazy movie.
Wait, is that what you're supposed to think?
Well, no, he's in Jersey City.
It's
He's
a movie
right.
that starts in Jersey City, and it means immediately is like, well, this isn't. We can't have our movie take place here. Once the credits roll, we got to get out of this town.
Well, that's what I mean. If we're starting off in Jersey City, where are we going from here? We're going to Crazy Town. We're going to New York and California.
Morocco. Jamie, we're going to Morocco. I cannot state that.
We're dipping a toe in Morocco. We're dipping a toe in Morocco.
If Dustin Hoffman and what's his name
that
were in
movie.
the background, I don't remember if they were in Morocco in that movie or not, but I kind of expected them to be sitting at a table in the background.
That movie, comparatively, that movie was more painful than this one.
Yeah. Did you notice that the guy in Morocco, I'm sorry, 10 seconds of this movie
Yeah,
takes
it was
place
like
in
the
Morocco.
smallest part, yeah.
The guy who gets him for the phone, and then who he tells, like, oh my God, when this guy shows up, tell him I had to fly back to the States. Did you notice that this guy, first of all, just seemed like a white guy? Maybe they put some darker paint on his face. Also, they put some sort of robe over top of a suit and tie, which made me think they just pulled him out of another scene from the movie and said, put this on, you're Moroccan now.
Now you work at Morocco. Maybe they decided to add that Morocco scene just out of the blue. We have this belly dancer. How will we use her? She came. She wanted to be part of that. So many fitness people. So many people working out in that fitness club or health club. So there was a whole, what was it, the fair, the expo that they did at the end? So
where they all have numbers on, like this is some sort of like fitness marathon that they're all running.
So maybe the belly dancer came to audition to do, I heard you do dancing. And they said, well, not that kind of dancing, but we'll make a scene happen for you, belly dancer.
Oh, I kind of figured she showed up because somebody got like a birthday belly dancer and she showed up on set and everything. And then they were like, we can use you for this movie if that's cool. You can just get birthday belly dancers, right?
That's what you do. That's what you do on set all the time.
Great. So let's start this movie. And the thing that I found really fun, Jamie, is this is 2 in a row, just like First Blood. You could call this a Christmas movie because it starts with Christmas.
It starts with a little Christmas jingle belling, and it's Christmas time at I think it's like the Jersey City Journal. It's like a local Jersey City paper, and John Travolta is working in the newsroom, and he works in the obit department, as they call it in if you're down diggity. He works in obituaries.
Wait, you're saying that if you say the word obits, it's because you work in that industry?
Yeah.
I gotta clarify for everyone who didn't come up writing obituaries. That's what we call it in the biz.
Yeah.
It is really just to be like, this is where this guy came from.
Yeah.
You know, he came from meager beginnings because it's never referenced again.
Never.
The credits come up and immediately he's been working at Rolling Stone for number of years. Doesn't look any different. He's not like a fresh-faced kid right out of college or something like that. This could be the next week. We don't know, but we're done with that part of the movie.
No, we don't know how soon after. Right. We start in Jersey City with the paper, with the obituaries. We get a very bland credit roll. Like you said, the ending credits are super fun, but the opening credits are literally just white words on, was it blue or orange background? I don't remember.
Who knows? Again, you can't read anything. Yeah, the title of this, most times you cannot read the credits of the actors and production people. With this, the word perfect is written as though it is a Rolling Stone title.
Yes.
But also it's purpley and it's against, like you said, an orange background. Like it's just like uncomfortably reverberating off of the screen. I don't like it.
You didn't like it.
But again, like all his boss had to do later on in this is be like, you know what? Do your damn job. I'll have you writing obits back in Jersey City again. You did not need this opening of this movie.
No. But again, you need a little Jersey City flair. We got it. There you have it. What we don't quite understand.
If we want to try, you know what? It pops up from time to time through this movie. So I think the best thing to do is to try and wrap our brains around what the B storyline is here.
Yeah.
That way we never really have to dig into it later. We can just be like, and then he went to court for that reason.
So who is this guy? Is he a politician or is he like a mafia guy? Like, he's some sort of shady shyster. That's the best way I could put it.
First of all, he is the killer from Twin Peaks. So
okay.
I assumed that he was on trial for the murder of all those people in Twin Peaks, but that's not the case. It appears that he made computers. Guys, if you're familiar with this movie, I know I'm destroying this, and you're probably
This is
upset
the
right
story
now.
that John Travolta's character is working on at first at Rolling Stone. Now we find out that he apparently writes. Like we said, he's been working for, now we don't know, X amount of time at Rolling Stone, but he's chummy with the photographer, and I guess that's his boss, is the editor.
Sure.
They're out to lunch. Carly Simon shows up. He's apparently written an article about Carly Simon that she didn't like. She throws like tomato juice at him, which is kind of a fun
Carly
scene.
Simon get a Bloody Mary specifically to throw it in his face? Because I thought it was just wine, and then when he was covered in red goo, I had to rewind again. I rewound this movie way more than I actually intended to.
2 hours probably took you 3.
Yeah,
That's why you had to watch it in
took
2
me
parts.
3 hours over several days. When that happened, I was kind of like, oh, if this movie is just celebrity cameos, like one after the other, slapping Travolta and throwing stuff in his face, I'd be totally into it. So he's trying to write a story about this guy who made computers, and I think wanted to sell these computers to our quote-unquote enemies, and then the
Behind
U.S.
the red
government...
curtain?
Yeah, I don't know. And then the
Or
U.S.
the Iron
government...
Curtain, sorry. The Red Iron Curtain, however you want to call it.
The Red Iron Curtain. The Middle Eastern Red Iron Curtain. And I don't know, the government got involved and didn't want him to do this, and it was found out that he was doing this behind the government's back. I don't know, because it doesn't matter and is never fully explained.
We never get a
and
full explanation.
Isn't really the movie we're here to see.
No, but it is the original story that Travolta's character is writing. He's trying to get the interview.
Yeah,
with
it's
this
like
guy.
his legitimate piece that he's going to write, unlike some of his other fluff pieces that he writes for Rolling Stone,
Right.
which have to do with I don't know, because at one point Jamie Lee refers to this like, I checked out some of your articles. He's like, oh, which ones? And she mentions them, but I could not be bothered to write them down.
No, I didn't either.
So anyway, so that's sort of the B storyline that's woven throughout. So every now and then he'll be like, oh, I got to fly here to maybe get this interview.
Or I got to take a call from the AP about this. Or I have to go to court because they're subpoenaing my tapes.
I
There's
got to
that
take
whole
another
thing too.
one of these phone calls. Oh, Jamie Lee, we were just about to have super hot sex, but the AP's on the phone right now. I got to go.
And I got to fly back to New York because he wants the interview. So I'll see you. But I'll fly back, pick me up at the airport, and we'll finish our sexy time then.
Yeah. Also, how many times in this movie do people go, where are the tapes? And I'm like, who cares? I don't care about these tapes. If it doesn't involve Jamie Lee
What about
Curtis,
the guy that's following him for a short amount of time? But
I thought this was going to turn into some weird spy thriller. It never does. We see like a guy put his sunglasses down once, and I'm like, oh no, he's being watched and spied upon. And then at one point he's like, I think someone broke into my hotel room.
But they didn't
nothing is a mess.
yeah, no. There's no real evidence of that. Yeah, no. But so even though he's got this one project he's working on, he's got another project in mind that he's kind of pitched to his editor about health clubs. This health clubs of the 80s, how they've become sort of the new singles bars. And the best place to do research on these sort of things is to fly out to California. There's no health clubs in New York. Better to go to California.
I'm sorry, and I don't mean to
ahead.
keep pointing out like dumb things that
Are we going back to
matter.
Morocco? Are we going
No,
back
no, we're not going to go back to Morocco. We are going to go to a real quick scene where we see a bunch of pictures of Mick Jagger. And all we hear are voiceovers of the photographer and I don't know, the editor or something. And at one point he goes, you really captured his true essence. And I'm like, this is just pictures of Mick Jagger acting like a goofball.
And it's like 8. Yeah. There's the whole thing about, for the article that he does end up writing about the sports connection, the health, the Christy Brinkley on the cover. What?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, because we just hear, wouldn't it be great if Christy Brinkley was on the cover? And later we get a picture of her and they're like, holy shit, I can't believe we got Christy Brinkley. Like, you're Rolling Stone. Can't you just get anyone to come in at any point and be on the cover?
And well, I guess Christy Brinkley for the fitness, but then like I was wondering, so is Mick Jagger going to be the cover for the? Oh, I guess it is for the who's on the cover for the one that he wants to write the article for? I don't know. I don't know.
Mick Jagger. They're like, can you sit in court and pretend to be this guy, Mick? I captured your essence, and it really screamed, 60-year-old man on trial. Oh my God. All right. So,
all right, but then, okay, so then we get into it, right? And this, so he gets approval to do this article on sports clubs. It doesn't seem like it's that hard for him to get approval on articles because, again, Rolling Stone seems like a chaotic place to work at the time. I love it when he goes back in with a baseball bat at the end, but we're not there yet.
It's so chaotic. His boss doesn't even have time to hang pictures on his wall. They're all like leaning. They're all sitting on his desk leaning against the wall. And later on, when he goes in with that baseball bat, I was like, he's breaking all those pictures. They didn't even get a chance to hang up yet.
He's not even hanging.
And also this, and it might sound, we might kind of sound disjointed with this movie, but this movie is just random scenes, like kind of after the fact, sort of stitched together to make what is, I guess, closely resembles a narrative, because it really is just, we're together, it's sexy time, and now we're fighting. Now let's get back together again. Maybe we'll have sex. Maybe we'll work out a little bit. Now we're going to fight again. Like, it really, that's the entirety of this 2-hour-long movie. But we can talk about how he has to fly out to L.A. because the guy that he wants to interview is on trial.
Right.
But while he's there, like you said, he has another great idea to do an article about these health clubs.
And he finds a great one. Right.
Yeah. While I'm here, I almost said, while I'm here, I'll scare up another article. And I should have said, while I'm here, I want to scare up a gangbang.
It's a direct quote from one of our characters.
That poor woman is mentally unwell. Like,
she says it too at a certain point. She says, my friend thinks I'm mentally unstable.
She really needs help.
I like how when she talks about, all right, let's get there. We're ahead of ourselves.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to keep us on track, but you're right. This movie is one of those. Well, all right. So you're right. He goes there because he's got to do the interview. That's why he gets kind of the pass to California. But while he's there, he's going to do the research on these health clubs. He finds one called the Sports Connection.
Yep.
And our grand tour of this place, first of all, this place is jumping. There are so many people here. And there was a bit of nostalgia because now things are so different. Like I think we were talking for the patrons. And now, people I know still go to the gym, but it's not the same kind of fitness club the way it was. And there's a lot of at-home workouts. The Peloton is a big workout, and people can do, I guess the instructors are online, and spin classes. There's a whole different, but in the same vein, right?
This is very community. Like, this is he talks about his singles bar, but it's really like, these are my friends. These are my coworkers. This is where I go for a sense of community.
Yes. Well, again, the whole setup is as we get the tour from this guy.
This array of non-actors, especially that lady that we see first who like owns the place or whatever.
Oh, yes,
and she's just like, this is a place where people go to work out. Let me pass you off to another non-actor who will now take over for me. It's a series. And then finally I was like, finally we're meeting Mary Lou Henner, and maybe there's some energy, like someone interesting to play off of Travolta, because it's just,
it seems like they're real.
Yeah, it's like attractive, fit, dead-eyed people trying to deliver lines.
Mm-hmm. It seems like they really got them from the fitness club. What a place, though. I mean, there's a juice bar, there's a weight room, there's a racquetball room, there is a
juice bar where they do sell beer, which kind of seems to defeat the purpose. And the guy is very specific. You can get beer, but no wine. We don't.
No, we don't do wine. Well, beer after the workout, there is some kind of study about beer being good for you after But so maybe they were hip to that study. I don't know.
Yeah, I read that study. I was like, if I'm on a Peloton while drinking a beer, is that beneficial? The study didn't say no, so I'm like, all right, that sounds great.
I like this. I like this. Part of the tour then leads to, and we meet some of the characters like Mary Lou and Lorraine plays what's their character? I have it written down here. What are their? Because they're like the
redhead twins. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
He
Who
calls
are
them
they?
the Laverne and Shirley of the
Sure.
in his
Why
article.
Not? Yeah. Why
but
not
I forget
say that?
their real names. Anyway, and then he gets introduced to the aerobics class, which is an intense class of
A
even
million
before
people?
There's at least, and it's all levels, right? Not levels of activity, but like the room is leveled.
Jamie
right?
Lee is, at one point, she's performing on what appears to be like a stage. Like, you go up
Yes.
steps onto a stage, and then there are other steps going up to another level of other people working out. So she's like slightly lower than some people, but way higher than other people performing.
And at one point, she's got a microphone for one of the classes. This class, like a handheld microphone. But this is a lot of squeeze and release, squeeze and release.
This really does seem like they filmed so much B-roll of working out, and somebody went, well, we can't use all of this. And the director went, that sounds like a challenge to me.
Oh, yes, we can, he said. You just watch.
And there are so many times where we're watching people work out and they're just playing like, terrible 80s music over it. But they're moving their mouth. There is so much dialogue that's lost in this movie that I know these actors were supposed to say, but they're like, oh, who cares? It's just music
It's part
time
of the workout.
montage.
Right. Anyway, after the tour, after the squeeze release aerobics class, he decides he wants to sink his teeth into and interview the Jamie Lee Curtis character, and she's not down for that. It's nice to meet you, but
it's a very like, I'm super into Jamie Lee Curtis, and while I can talk to anyone around here,
and
I
there's
think,
plenty of people.
I mean, she is kind of the only female instructor that he talks to. He does talk to some of the male instructors, but she's really the only female instructor that we meet in this movie, right? Like, everybody else is kind of patrons of the club.
Yeah. She does say there's other instructors to interview, but we don't ever meet them.
Yeah, she says that when he shows up later in the movie and is like, is Jamie Lee Curtis here? The one guy at the desk is like, nobody's here, man.
Nobody's here.
Like,
They're all at the
you
expo.
Or you just by the door to tell everybody to go away.
Yeah.
Nobody's here, but the doors
Nobody's
aren't locked, whatever.
So I'm just here to let you know that this isn't the place to be.
You could have received this information some other way, and maybe this movie didn't have to be 2 hours long, but guess what? Nobody's here. Now let's show you traveling to Beverly Hills. Oh, also, I find it funny because when he's talking to this big, beefcake guy about all this, he goes, can I get like all the personal information about clients here who may be hooked up? And the guy goes, I don't think I'm allowed to do that. And Travolta goes, really? Can you see? And he goes, oh, okay. I was like, what? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, well, because he explains what he's doing in his article and how people, he's into not just that this is a thing, but that couples actually meet. So he asked for the couples, and Travolta's like, yeah, but for me, I think you can do it. I think Travolta says, yeah, but I'm short on time and I'm going to need you to bend the rules. And he's like, all right,
and he's like,
I'll
no,
bend them.
all right. Here's all of our
Here we
records
go.
and files.
Yeah.
So, can we also very quickly, when this guy's rattling off all this stuff they do, I was kind of upset because we never see something called swimnastics.
I know, I want to see that instructor. Or why wouldn't we see, maybe it was one and Jamie Lee, maybe it just didn't make the cut. Because isn't she an Olympic swimmer?
Well, listen, we only see her swim one time in this movie, and
She
I don't
swims
think
when
that's
she's
even her.
angry. She swims when she's angry. That's what her mom says.
Right, yeah, exactly. She retired, she hasn't gotten in a pool for a very long time.
There's a scandal behind that. We'll explain it if you haven't seen it. Don't worry. After this, unless there was anything else you had to say about our first introduction to the
I could talk about this whole movie for 4 hours, I think, but let's move on.
Well, then we go from the fitness club to a strip club. And I'm not sure how we made this transition. I was so confused by this. I literally wrote in my notes, and now he's at a nightclub, and there's a stripper, and he's writing the stripper a note asking, because he's just now begged J.D. Lee Curtis for an interview, who's like, no, I'm not doing it. Now he's just asking the stripper. He writes down a little note that I assume he's going to put in her little G-string, but we never see that.
It really just seems like, well, I guess that article about health clubs is dead. Now I'm going to do an article about strip clubs. And you say, how do we make this transition? You're right. That scene ends and we're in a strip club and he's just sitting there jotting notes down.
There's a black woman stripping and there's a black man sweating watching her.
Yes.
And then there's a woman sitting at the bar topless. And then there's Travolta writing notes to a stripper, I guess, saying, can I interview you? And I'm like, wait, so is he practicing how to ask people if he can interview them? What is happening in this scene?
It's like, I did such a terrible job with Jamie Lee Curtis. I got to work on this. I'll start with strippers and I'll work my way back up to aerobics instructor.
And it's not till several scenes later when we see her again at her condo or something where I'm like, oh, she's from the other article.
100%. This scene feels like it was slipped into the movie accidentally at this point. Because I don't know who it is. I don't know why he's at the strip club. And I don't know why he wants to interview her at all. Until, like you said, 15, 20 minutes later.
And she's so we slip right out of there, back to him asking Jamie Lee Curtis for another interview. And she's really like...
Again, this seems like just a thing where they're like, well, we can't have these two scenes with he and Jamie Lee back to back. We need to put something in here.
Wait, which you could have, because basically now he's harassing her in the parking lot. And this is another random thing. He needs her to jump his car. Her car won't start. And so she needs him to jump it.
Right.
And so,
I feel like he probably broke into her car and turned the lights on the whole time because that was the only way he was going to get an interview.
To get extended time with her. So now he's hounding her not just for the interview, but maybe they could have lunch.
Yeah, because it's really like, no, let's forget about the interview. Can we just have dinner? And she's like, no, you creep. Can we have lunch?
So he's like, lunch sounds a little safer.
Yeah, she's like, that sounds safe, it sounds daylighty, and it sounds outdoors. Let's do that.
She really wants nothing to do. She wants nothing to do with him for the purposes of his article.
No, and we find out why later. It's not just because he's John Travolta.
No, because she falls for him then pretty quickly.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not, the reaction or the reason that Carly, well, actually it is the same reason Carly Simon hates him.
Yeah, it is. Throughout the movie, his boss and him, like you said, there's a lot of phone calls happening in this movie. And his boss, the editor, calls him, or vice versa. This is just a simple call. This is, I think, when his boss is maybe still at the office or maybe at home with his wife.
No. He's at home. There's a lot happening. We get so many little hints into his boss's personal life.
The nitrogen ice cream night.
Just because when he's on the phone. In this one, he's eating shrimp and drinking champagne. And his hot wife, walks out of the bathroom at the end, looks at the camera as though she's about to deliver a line, and the scene cuts. It really does seem like, because she comes out of the bathroom like she had just showered.
Yeah.
And it's almost like she's about to say, was that Adam and blah, blah, blah. Nope. End of the scene. He's just jamming shrimp in his mouth.
Well, while he's eating the shrimp, he's calling to let Adam know that he needs to be careful. Someone's out. And again, we don't know if he's being careful because a fitness guy is after him or
Yes.
But we guess it's related to the interview that he's interview that he did with this guy, which he hasn't done yet. He didn't do the interview yet.
When he gets punched late in this movie, which is the closest thing to an action scene in this movie.
Yeah.
For a second, I was like, oh my God. And then I went, oh, that guy punched him. Okay. This is not, this storyline has nothing to do with that storyline and barely has anything to do with the B storyline.
No, but it's just coming in. It's just coming in hot. He does get to have lunch with her. I didn't know they were, because he straight up asked her how old she is, and she says she's in her 20s. They both don't.
I looked it up. Jamie. Now, first of all, the thing I would say is I think the further you go back, the older people looked. Because I was quite surprised how very on the nose her description was. Because she was 27.
Oh, okay.
And he was 31.
Okay.
Mary Lou Henner's the oldest one in this. She's 34.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
I mean,
good
I didn't look up the
research
boss
on
or
this.
anything like that. I just looked up the three of them because they're talking about their ages, and later Mary Lou Henner's having a birthday, and I was like, how old is she at this
How old are you
birthday
turning
party?
here? Good research, though. Good research. But they have a nice connection, and he kind of wins her over by talking about, because she says, "Oh, you're not going to write an article about the gym being a little singles club," and he relates it to Emerson.
Sure. Why
Yeah.
not?
He gets a little-
because he's really talking about like, well, every 100 years, people change their lifestyle and and Emerson and blah blah blah, and then she's like, all right, maybe you're not such a creep, and the scene ends with him going, "You're so hot," and then the scene ends. I was like, wow, that came out of nowhere. Travolta just 0 to
he's
60
staying all
in no
classy
time.
and intelligent, and she's like, "Oh, he's winning me over with his brains and his deep thinking," and then he just ends it with, "By the way, you're hot," and she's all giddy for him.
The scene ends because I wanted the scene to continue and him to look at his watch and go, "Oh shit, I have an interview with a stripper. I gotta go." Because that's where we go right after this.
Well, now at least so this is when we see that stripper from the club again. She's in
Shotzi?
her. Is that her name? Shotzi?
Shotzi. Yeah.
Okay.
And this is Shotzi's final film. I looked up Shotzi, and she was in like a bunch of stuff in the 70s, and this is her last film credit.
Aw, well, she was Shotzi in it.
Yeah, she sure was.
She has this lovely little condo, it looks like, on the beach, and he wants to interview her because he feels like she will have something nice to say about Joe Mackenzie. Is that the guy's name that he's?
Oh, good. I'm glad you wrote. I mean, they say Mackenzie 100 times in this movie, but at no point did I bother writing it down.
Nobody's got anything good to say, but maybe his stripper friend will. And she's like, yeah, I like Joe. He paid for this.
Yes.
Don't tell anybody, she tells the reporter, but he paid for this place, yada yada. Her Shotzi's boyfriend comes home, or husband comes home, and basically tells Travolta, she can't be interviewed. Don't mention her in your article.
Yeah,
and
she's
we're done
really
with
funny
that again.
she's like, nobody's gonna say anything nice about him. He's paying for a place, dude. Like, come on.
Let's just
He
show
deserves some good press.
Yeah.
Also, you're not going to use my name or photo in this article, right?
Yeah. Then we're back to our workout class.
Yeah.
Now we're back to another class where we get to meet. I guess these are what did you call him? Lion-haired man?
Oh my God. Yeah, this guy. Yeah, he's like a lion in mid-human transition, or like a werewolf, but were-lion, I guess.
There's a couple of, again, all of these aerobics classes are full. It is funny when they do have the thrusting scene, and there's so much going on, the back and forth between Jamie Lee and Travolta, that I started to focus on the ladies all around Travolta and how seriously they were taking their thrusting.
Yes.
Anyway.
Everybody, because it really is such a fun, like, these extras are, they had to be able to work out, because even when we're showing Jamie Lee, you see the mirror,
see the class,
and you see this sea of people in front of her that are all working out.
They're all part of it. And I bet at the time, they loved it, right? They get to be extras in this. But this is where we meet who we find out later is her roommate. I thought it was her boyfriend at first because she gives him like a cheek kiss, but it turns out she's like kissing cheeks with everybody at the every worker
I don't
at the
know,
gym.
because I was almost convinced that Mary Lou Henner's boyfriend was gay. So I was
the
really
stripper, the male
I was
stripper.
like, oh, Mary Lou Henner's really hitting on this gay guy. She's not getting anywhere with this guy. Oh, turns out
they're engaged.
I was really wrong.
Yeah, no. He doesn't take her class yet, but we get to see more of her class.
After the class, when he says, I thought I'd stop by and see if you might need anyone to charge your battery.
Ding ding, ding ding.
And she's like, great, you want to go back to your hotel room? Basically, because then we're suddenly in his hotel room, and there is mid-'80s computer talk, which is so funny when he's like, you know how to use a computer? And she's like, I'm pretty good. And she types a few letters, and he's like, you're really good at this.
Well, and they talk to each other
Oh,
on the
yes.
computer.
She
They
doesn't
type
just
to
type
each other.
letters. She types "wanna fuck" on his computer as he's sitting next to her. It's really great. Like the use of technology where I can only imagine people in the 80s are like, what are they typing on? What is this technology?
Yeah, and it's sort of like a laptop computer. It's not like it's fancy because of
Yeah,
Rolling
it's not
Stone,
like
I guess.
a Whoopi Goldberg jumping jack flash
No,
computer.
no. No, but yeah, he types, they start to kind of, and I love it as they're getting like into it. He's asking her about the class, and she's saying, well, first you do the warm up, and you got to stretch. And he's like taking off her clothes. And
Yeah,
she's like,
their foreplay with her just describing a class she teaches.
then you do aerobic activity where you get the heart rate up.
Oh, it's
my gosh,
super
it's so
awesome.
good. But then the phone
I
rings.
really love that
The
part.
phone rings, and he's got to answer it, and he doesn't even get to like,
Right.
I don't think second base, and it's the AP, and he's got the interview, and he's got to go, right? No, is it the AP? No, it's Mackenzie. It's Mackenzie calling.
Yeah,
with
it's
the
his
interview.
It's the people saying that Mackenzie will do this interview.
Yeah, but
or
he's got to go
whatever.
back to New York City. He's at his hotel room in California about to make love to this aerobics instructor. And now jet setting Travolta's got to go back. Or
And
Adam.
it really
I do
is like a
the
scene where I
character's
was like,
name.
oh man, you're giving up on not even possible sex. You're giving
were
up
about
on
to
sex
have it, yeah.
with Jamie Lee to catch your red eye. There's got to be flights all the time going out of LA.
No,
to
but
New
he doesn't
York.
want to lose the interview. This is a
And like
big
every
thing.
10 minutes there have to be planes leaving. But also it's kind of nice because he's like, listen, it's my job. And she is smiling and totally
Yeah.
gets it. And he's
She's
even
not
like,
mad about
I
it.
will be
No.
right back. Like
Yeah.
as soon as I
He's
can
like,
come back,
and
I
she's
will.
like, and I'll be at the airport, and she is.
Yep.
He gets into a rainy New York City and is running late. He steals the camera from Frankie, who is the photographer.
Can we quickly
Go ahead.
talk about his boss? Because this is another scene of his boss with him on the phone. Where his boss alludes to the fact that I guess Michael Douglas is a huge alcoholic. He's like, man,
What does he
Michael
call it?
Douglas is in town and I am fucking hammered. I
No,
was
yeah.
so trashed last night. He's like, I got the worst. I got one of those, Michael Douglas hangovers that we
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about all the time.
The booze flu. He calls it the booze flu.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, just a tiny glimpse into his boss's life.
Yeah,
again.
just a little
He's in the
bit to know
kitchen
that
this
he's a
time.
crazy guy. Right. But yeah, he gets to go he gets the interview with Mackenzie by driving around a rainy day around Central Park.
And like you said, he steals the camera from his
Yes.
coworker.
Right,
and
because she
she's
wants to be
screaming.
in on it. Well, she wants to come and do the interview with him, and he's like, no, this is, I promised it's just me. Anyway, he hops a flight back to LA, and they continue their aerobic instruction, verbal aerobic instruction,
Right.
so they consummate the relationship. Now he's decided to take an aerobics class, and hold on, I have to pee, because when you talk about this amount of thrusting,
Okay.
the bladder is just already ready to release.
Okay, and this is just for our
Hold on, I'll be right
listeners.
back.
Oh no, go ahead, go. I'm just. This is just for our listeners. Jamie is leaving at 49 minutes and 15 seconds, and I will sit here as long as I can and continue to talk. Normally, we cut out all this stuff for regular listeners, and we just leave it in for patrons. So this time we're going to do something a little bit different because, as I mentioned before, just for the patrons, this is a very long part of this movie where it is a aerobics montage, I think, is how it would be best described, because he takes the aerobics class, so we cut back and forth between him thrusting, back to Jamie Lee thrusting, and so on and so forth. And sometimes they're lying on the ground, thrusting upward. He's got his legs in all sorts of weird positions. He's also wearing shorts that are pretty baggy, but because of the thrusting, you can totally just see his dick flopping around in these shorts, which is super crazy. They're getting sweatier as this goes. And
So sorry about that. But yeah, sorry, not sorry.
no, that's okay. You're back, and I know that normally when one of us leaves, we, sometimes you sing a song.
Oh, right.
Or, whatever, and I cut stuff for the regular listeners. I thought it would be fun, though. As I said, this scene is very long, so I took note of when you went to the bathroom.
Oh.
And
so you could...
You are back now, and... If we started this scene when you went to the bathroom, we would still have over 2.5 minutes left of thrusting and gyrating and sweating.
And so much sweating.
Yes,
so
and I already
sweating.
let everybody know that you can totally kind of see Travolta's dick flopping around in these shorts that he's wearing.
When you could see her nipples, like it's,
yeah. Listen, we are going to tell the accurate story of this health club, is what I assume
that's what it's
the director
clear as day.
decided.
Yeah. No, this is his first class of hers that he takes, and we get to basically witness what feels like the whole class. You say 4 minutes, but it feels like the whole class.
It's the whole class. It's the whole class.
Yeah.
Like you said, and they're on the floor sometimes.
They
They're
start standing,
up.
and they're
There's
making gross eye contact the whole time.
She stares at him throughout all of her classes, whether she's angry, whether she's trying to seduce him, I guess, in this scene.
No, well, they've just had sex. It's almost as if they are...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they just had their sex, and now they're having their class, and this class is just all about, I'm going to say, opening up the pelvic floor, because that is, they're thrusting.
Oh, you're right, because we do see other classes later where there's a lot of running and maybe jumping, and you're moving your arms. This is just like hip thrusting and squats with your knees open as wide as possible.
I sent you some pictures, because when I first saw that, you sent me pictures first, and I was completely grossed out. If you just Google and watch the coming attractions of this movie, you'll see all this thrusting. And I'm a little blushy, I'm a little grossed, I'm a little bit of everything watching this. When they take it to the floor, and they're laying on the floor, and still thrusting their pelvises in the air, it's just a lot. It's just a lot.
It really is. Like, it's something that in any normal movie you could have done with a 30-second montage. If you wanted to push this to a minute, Jamie, if people started this scene before we went to the bathroom, it's still not over. The scene is still going on right now. I should actually have a TV with me, and I should have hit play when you went to the bathroom, but it would still be going on, folks. But yeah, in any normal movie, 30 seconds, maybe a minute, would be more than enough to establish whatever we're trying to establish.
Yeah. That they are into each other. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they are, because in our next scene, do you need to talk about this thrusting scene anymore?
We talked about this scene for almost as long as the scene goes. We still have 5 seconds of the scene. I can't believe 4.5 minutes. I can't believe this. All right, but let's move on.
Yeah, people, you could Google it and you could watch all 4.5 minutes.
I would recommend it. Jamie was grossed out. I would recommend it just to understand that this is a thing that was actually created.
Yeah, no, I would recommend it and see how it makes you feel. Yeah. Now we get to see her home, which is, like you said, more like an adobe. Somewhere.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, God, her home life where she lives with that lion man.
Yeah.
Who I guess just has like a revolving door of women coming in and out of this house.
I do like their interview. So he does... Since she still hasn't agreed to the interview yet, he's got to interview some other people, right?
Yes.
For his fitness article. So they go back to her house, which she shares. Remember, I forgot that since everyone's kind of in their 20s, no, they're all roommates. Like even the two girls are roommates.
Possibly her mother's a roommate with her.
Her mother. Well,
I don't know what the deal is with this.
When she gets to the house, the lion-haired roommate says, "Your mom's here," and she says, "Is she drunk?" And what is this treat that the mom is giving out?
Oh, I was hoping you would be able to help me out here because they say divinity 45 times in a row in this scene. Oh, my mom's here. She makes the best divinity. Mom, did you make divinity? Here's the divinity. I have divinity. Travolta, would you like some divinity? Isn't that the best divinity ever? Kids, I'm going to leave the room, but I'm going to leave the divinity. If you want some divinity, it's right here on this plate of divinity. I was like, what? Are these brownies? What is she talking
And
about?
I do like that we get to meet her divinity making mother. Like, she doesn't just say, like,
she's not a character in this movie, but
No.
we meet her and spend time with her.
we do. And we get to know, like, because she even references her when she talks about her scandal. She's like, yeah, it was my mom, because it was her mom that gave her away, right?
Yeah.
In the
Why
scandal.
you might be able to help me. Why in my notes, for some reason, I just wrote, damn you, Jimmy Carter. Why would I have written that?
Because...
You don't need to answer this question.
Oh, damn you, Jimmy Carter, because when she explains what happened, which doesn't take her much, the mom says something to the effect of like, oh, he's a journalist. Oh, well, you've had a tough time with journalists. And he's like, what do you mean? What tough time did you have? What is, and she's like, just ignore my mom. First she's like, and then finally she's like, I don't want to talk about it. And then she's like, okay, I'll tell you everything in a brief synopsis. And it's Jimmy Carter is some reason about the Olympics that Jimmy Carter had to do.
Right. Yes, Jimmy Carter. Okay, yes, all right. Yeah, so we finally get a backstory on one of the characters in our
Yes.
movie. I mean, maybe that's why they made it very clear that he worked for the obituaries. So we'd be like, well, I guess we know what his story is.
Yeah.
But we finally understand why she doesn't want to be interviewed.
Yeah.
And it's because she was such a great swimmer. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, Jimmy Carter didn't want to go to the Olympics, so she and her swim teacher fucked each other? I don't know.
That's not
know.
the timeline.
I don't know how one connects to the other. But yeah, she was interviewed because she was such a great swimmer. But all the interviewer did, or the reporter did, was basically report on the terrible relationship, the illicit relationship
With her
that
coach.
this high school student had with her coach.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it ruined her life. It ruined his life,
Yeah.
the coach.
Yeah.
And so that's why she does not trust reporters.
Right.
Also, there's some divinity over there. We talked about just going places in this movie for no reason. Jamie, how about we go skiing? How does
Let's
that
go
sound?
skiing. Let's go skiing. Well, the lion-haired man, I guess living the life of a fitness instructor, you're kind of get your own hours, right? You're like contract. You make your own hours up. And you live in a roommate situation, and you live in California, so, you can get to Mammoth Mountain, and it's still snowing.
There aren't a whole lot of times that they do this in this movie, but the movie teases out that all this movie is going to be like is them saying like, "Can you believe these Californians? Can you believe with all the sprouts and the working out and
Yeah.
everything?" In this scene, Travolta's like, "What? Hey, wait a minute! We can go skiing. It's in the middle of the summertime. What are we doing here?" And she's like, "You're in California. Anything's possible,
Yeah,
dude."
it's the land of magic. Let's go. First, she doesn't want to, but then, after she confesses, she says, let's go skiing. And you know what? I'll go ahead and give you that interview. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, and by skiing, she means let's lay around.
Yeah.
in a ski
We never
lodge.
see them ski, which is funny because doesn't skiing involve a certain amount of thrusting?
Yeah, but they're exhausted, Jamie. That class, we saw 4.5 minutes of it, which I assume the class was 5.5 hours long.
She mentions that he's going to be sore, and he's not
Right.
when she's visiting the house. But now when they get to Mammoth and they go skiing, he's laying in bed claiming he has polio. He's in such bad shape he can't
I
move.
have polio.
He can't move. He's so very sore. So like you said, they really spend their day in Mammoth just lounging
Right.
around. He's laying on her tush. There's some man spying on them, but that comes to nothing, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, and it's such a shame that this movie is so just like unbelievably stupid because I do think that they kind of have nice chemistry
They do
together.
have a
Like,
nice chemistry.
Anytime they're together, like you saying that he's laying on her tush is kind of what's happening, but she's making jokes and he's
Yeah.
laughing and like falling on her butt so many
Yeah.
times in
Yeah.
the scene, but it seems so genuine. And these two are, I mean, you understand why they're good actors. So.
Yeah, well, and the characters themselves are connecting. She's talking about her obsession with wanting to be perfect. She was going to be an Olympic swimmer. She doesn't want to be a fitness instructor forever, but she's only going to do it until she's really good at it, and then she'll move on to the next thing to be really good at. She likes being good at things. Oh, when he interviews, so like I said, he doesn't quite interview her yet, but he interviews the roommate, the lion-haired roommate, where we get a little insight into, like you said, I think he's having a threesome or moresome with whomever he just takes home.
Now, I was going to say this is shot in such a weird way because we get a close-up of this lion mane guy talking, and then we get a close-up of this girl with short blonde hair, and she said something. We go back to lion mane, then we go back to the girl with short blonde hair, and I'm like, she looks kind of different. Like, what did they? And it's not for a while.
No, it's like her twin. Yeah,
two people on either side of him. Yeah. It was, and I guess that was supposed to be like a funny reveal. For me, it was just confusing.
You were like, I don't get why they look kind of alike. But no, they talk about how when you work out, when you are fit, you have better sex because you're working out. And this is all feeding into his original article that he was going to write about the singles club he
never really tells Jamie Lee Curtis what he's writing about. Because it's not like he sits there with her at lunch and is like, my article's about how this is. No, they're just talking about fitness and talking about working out.
And he even says at that first conversation, I'm brainstorming ideas.
Right. And he's clearly talking to this lion man about sex. But her reaction is so great because she's just standing like back in the doorway, just smiling, being like, look at these people, not afraid of reporters. Like, it's really funny. But she kind of starts to open up on their drive back. But she notices that he is recording their conversation.
Oh, and that's a big no-no for you, sphincter muscle.
She calls it's so dumb. It's just one of those lines that I'm not in this movie, but it ripped me completely out of this movie. I'm like, wait, what did she just...
Well, I like that he references it later, and it's like, you seriously called me a sphincter muscle? And she's like, because you are one.
Because you are one. I also like the fact that she kicks him out of the car.
Completely kicks him out.
Drives down a little bit, reconsiders,
but then keeps going.
Drives away.
Yeah, but then keeps going. And he leaves. Yeah, she's when she's mad, she's mad. He hitches a ride with a pickup truck and some dogs and some people, of course.
Because God forbid in this movie we don't clearly get to see how characters get from one location to another.
Right.
Most of this movie is just B-roll of cars driving around or airplanes taking off or landing.
Well, and we talked about how there's some celebrity drops. There was Carly Simon making a little. There was the picture of...
This is the best one.
There's the picture that we said of Mick Jagger. There was the allusion to Michael Douglas being a bit of a drinker. Now Travolta gets back to his hotel, and there's a lot of commotion. There's a lot of... just music and noise and party people, and Travolta's like, what's happening here? And this hotel owner is like, oh, they think Boy George is staying here.
I told them he is not, but they won't leave. And this makes me feel like this was happening on set, and they were like, we can't get rid of these people. We have to build this into the movie now.
So they're playing Boy George music, they're dancing to Boy George music, and around the pool they're chanting, Boy George.
Yeah, we want George. Which is a weird way to ask for Boy George. But then he what's so funny about this is he goes upstairs and again makes another phone call to his publisher where they're yelling. They tell each other to eat shit and die.
So many
times in this movie. But the whole time he's on the phone, we just hear, we want George, really faint in the background through the entire phone conversation.
And again, it's so random. And again, it requires so many people, like so many extras. We're like, oh, I get to be, I guess maybe they were the same. Like these are the same extras that were in some of the workout scenes. Well, now you have to be the Boy George fan by the pool, by the hotel. But there are, when I tell you how many people, it's not just like a crew of like 20 people. There's like hundreds of people dancing and partying. And let me tell you, Boy George you never see him. You never even see somebody, because the hotel owner's right. He's not staying at that hotel.
There's just something about the hotel manager going, I don't know, they think Boy George is here. I told them he's not, but they won't leave. Like, how is that a line in this movie?
Oh my god.
Oh, God. All right. So he's not getting anywhere with Jamie Lee Curtis. She's really mad.
Oh,
But he
yeah.
still has to write his article.
Right.
So he's like, you know what? What's her name? Louise?
Lorraine.
Lorraine. Okay. Because I expected that he would go immediately
Oh,
to
in the
Mary Lou
movie,
Henner.
her name is Louise, I think.
Louise. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Or Linda, maybe. Linda.
Linda
And
is her
Sal.
name, yes,
We'll get
yeah.
it. We'll get it.
Yeah, but he's like, you know what? Mary Lou Henner's great, but perhaps her boobs are too big for this article. So I'm going to go to another redhead.
Well, the
And
other redhead is kind of the floozy of the gym. She's known as the most used piece of equipment in the gym.
Right.
She's got a pretty low self-esteem. When we talk to her later, we find out even she'll admit that she's a little mentally unstable. And when he can't get his interview with his lover, he decides he's going to go after this girl because there's definitely something there, right?
Oh, she knows it all. She's
Yeah.
going to spill the beans on everyone.
All the
She is
things.
willing to say anything and everything, and he knows it. So he...
So they go to. So we found out
this whole
that Mary Lou Henner is got a boyfriend at the gym. She's one of the
Right.
couples, he wanted to kind of study, and her boyfriend happens to be a stripper. So we are at the male strip.
I can't keep it together.
Wait, it's so good. So we are at the male strip club where Mary Lou Henner's boyfriend works. Now, P.S., we find out that no one at the strip club knows that Mary Lou Henner that they're together. Lorraine is standing for some reason in the strip club. And boy, is he doing quite the dance. You thought the thrusting earlier was a bit.
There's a lot.
More thrusting. He puts his whole
an entire
crotch.
strip routine, basically.
We do. Yeah. But unfortunately, for some reason, John Travolta can't come in, so he has to stay behind a bar. Oh, door with bars. There's a door, and it's got bars on it like he's in jail, and he can kind of see what's going on. Even she's like, can you see okay? He's like, I mean, it's fine. But she stands... She's standing next to him, like just kind of giving him the play-by-play of what's happening at the strip club.
I can't... This scene where I was like, he looks like a serial killer.
She says that there was just enough. They had to bend the rules just to get him that far.
Oh my God. Just the decisions made.
Now, during the strip tease, we see
when she asks him if he wants a drink, like he's outside.
But he's looking in.
Oh my God. Oh, all right. Okay, I got it. All right. Oh, I'm sweating. All right. Oh, man. Some of the decisions made. Oh, yeah. So we watched this entire strip club routine.
Where he's putting his crotch in ladies' faces and picking up a lady's skirt. He flat out makes out with and goes under what's her name's dress because nobody in the club knows they're really together. And yeah, we get to see this whole thing play out. And Linda.
Linda.
John Travolta kind of hits on Linda, but she's taking anything she can get, and she's like, oh, I think he wants me. Now, after the strip club routine, we're at the birthday party.
Yes. And
yeah.
I think it's important to say that Linda and Mary Lou Henner are both grown women. They're acting like teenagers. Like when she goes up to her in the strip club and she's like, oh, I think he's making a pass at me. And she's like shaking and so excited. So excited about this. And you're right. We go to this birthday party and he's like kind of walking around with Linda. And some guy just down the hall yells, hey, Linda, come over here and sit on my face. What is happening?
It's an interesting. So yeah, everybody from the gym basically is at this party because, like you said, they're a community. They stick together, and Linda is known for doing everybody at the gym. I guess they make some off-putting comments to her, but she's also funny too. She kind of cares, but doesn't care. Like, oh yeah, and she kind of, did you see how she would mouth to Travolta how big each of the guys'
Yep.
penises were?
Yep, exactly.
She's like, very small, this big. For all of the guys that have
I expected him to be
catcalled her
taking notes.
Yeah, I'm
during
like,
all
I
of
wanna
this,
know
but
that.
it's just mental notes. And then, again, bizarre shots. We get such a long shot, an overhead shot of somebody putting candles in this cake while characters talk. We see every single candle, 20 plus of them put into this cake while characters are just doing voiceover. But Mary Lou Henner does get engaged
Right.
at this party.
And Linda gets very upset about it. We get to witness her mental instability.
Yeah.
So the boyfriend, whatever, he proposes before she can open all the gifts. Linda's upset. She snaps at them and is like, didn't you guys think about me? Because, of course, now her friend's getting married and things are going to be different. They make up. It's all groovy. And Linda is crying to herself while she's making coffee.
In this one scene, she screams and yells and laughs and cries. She does everything you can do as an actor in this kitchen within about 30 seconds.
We see how unstable she is.
Yes.
She talks to Travolta about it. Basically, she tells Travolta how she's going to get all this plastic surgery done, and the plastic surgery will help her, and she just wants to be, we use this titular line here, she just wants to be perfect.
It's taken this long for someone to say perfect.
Well, we're here. We're hearing it.
Oh, God. It's so great.
Yeah.
Travolta's like, I got my story. This is going to be sleazy nonsense. I can't wait. It's so great. But guess what? Jamie Lee Curtis comes over to his hotel really, to make up, to say I'm sorry. But really, she's there like, here's my story. If you want to take down my story. And I went in to be like, I'm already writing 2 stories.
Yeah,
I don't want to write about
you're
you and your swim
overwhelming
coach.
me. Yeah, it's just too much.
Yeah, but he's like, no, I don't need your story. I don't care about that. Also, here's the tape I was using in the car. Take it. And they make nice and are flirty again and everything like that. But his photographer, I guess she flew to LA now.
Well, because now they got to do a shoot for this article on the fitness club.
Oh,
so she flew into LA
yes.
to help shoot this.
Right.
And she makes some comments about how Jamie Lee's cute, but how she looks very familiar.
My God. Yeah.
You look familiar.
You look so familiar. And I'm like, was this a Rolling Stone article? Like, it seems like an article in a small town newspaper.
You look like a slutty Olympian. I'm not sure, but maybe. And now we get a little montage
of our photos. You haven't even grown out your hair or
Yeah.
anything since high school.
No,
you look
she looks
identical.
exactly the same.
Can you take those aviators off? Oh my God, you look just like that 16-year-old student.
She does. She does look a lot.
She looks great. I mean, I know we talked about it, but Jamie Lee Curtis with that short hair and when she has that headband on and aviators, she
Super
looks
cute,
really fantastic.
Yeah, and I have to say I like that she's like a leading lady and in the 80s with the short hair. She works it because she had short hair in Terror Train too.
Well, the thing I noticed is when everybody's working out, you don't see long hair. You don't need long hair flopping around. Everybody's either got short hair or permed hair that's just not moving.
Not moving a whole lot, yeah. Yes. And just the headbands fit right in it. Now we get, because Frankie's in town, the photographer's in town, we get a little montage of photo shoots. Frankie goes right. First place she's going to take pictures is in the guys' locker room.
Yep.
She also takes pictures of what's her name, and Mary Lou and her fiance, and she's showing off the ring. Mm-hmm. She also takes pictures of what's her name working out with the Linda working out with the leg
Lots
machine.
of Linda crotch shots. Get on that machine where you just press your legs in and out, and I'll just take a bunch of pictures of you.
Right. And
you don't look uncomfortable at all.
It's not
She
going to be
really
an
looks
awkward angle
uncomfortable
at all.
using this machine.
She sneaks into Jamie Lee Curtis's class, and Travolta immediately stops her. No.
Yes.
I think she gets 1 or 2 shots off, and Travolta's like, she is not part of the story. You got enough pictures. Now he's really coming to her defense and doesn't want to ruin the relationship that they've established. He's trying to make good with her.
Exactly. Yes. And he thinks, you know what? This is a part of the movie. Everything's going well for all of our characters. Everything's fine. I don't see what could possibly go wrong. Because guess what? He and Jamie Lee Curtis, they're always hanging out, having sex now. And, The AP calls, but this time it's after they had sex. So he's like, I'm just going to take this phone call. That's fine.
Yeah.
Why don't you make yourself at home in my hotel room? I know you're really good with computers, so see how that works out for you.
How great is this? So we get, like you said, they've had their sex. He takes his call. She gets on his computer. And she starts to straight up read the article that he's writing. And I appreciate this because we get to see how, again, there's moments in this movie where I'm like, I think I like this movie. I like the characters.
Right.
I like how she cares for, because the article now, the way he's written it, is about Linda being a slut and how.
I can't even believe that that's an article that would be in Rolling Stone magazine.
And
basically like, here's an article about Linda the slut
Linda
in
the gym
California.
slut. Yeah. Now, how she, and this is sort of a reflection of how the health clubs are singles bars, and talks about how the two of them turn their bar stools into workout, whatever, stationary bikes. And
all
when
of this stuff in it. First of all, we as the audience have to read this entire
we read
article.
it right along with her, right off the computer screen. We don't get her reading it to herself in her head or anything, or him. No, she reads it, we read it, and then she looks around. And she just starts deleting it.
Just having a great time deleting the whole article. I do have to say, she sees gangbang in quotes written in his notepad. And then we see that these quotes are in the article.
Yeah.
Like, I love that Linda's like, I ride that dude like an exercise bike and stuff like that. And it's just one of those things where I'm like, Travolta, you didn't even consider changing her name for this article?
No, because they took pictures of her and everything.
My God.
And I
Yeah.
love it. So he comes out and he's kind of like suspicious because she's on the computer. She's like, I read your freaking article.
Yeah.
And she stands up for her friend. She says, you're not taking into consideration. You're going to ruin her life. And
Yeah.
you might not be writing about me.
It really is nice. Like, you are going to ruin Linda's life. I know what that's like. You're a terrible, terrible person, and you don't think about anyone but yourself.
Right.
All of this is 100% true. And I really did like that. Like, I thought that was really great that she would
Yeah.
stand up for her friend.
Yeah.
And then she runs out without pants on and drives away.
She runs into the street with a shirt. Yeah, with his shirt on. And he chases her, but she's too pissed. And now he gets punched randomly by the black dude, by the...
Shotzi's boyfriend shows up.
Yeah.
I forgot this guy was part of this movie.
Yeah.
Because we do see this article in Rolling Stone where he has Shotzi's picture and quotes from her and everything like
Yeah.
that. So he gets
Yeah.
punched out by this dude.
Right. And now this is the downward spiral of Adam, of Travolta's character, right? It just goes from
Right.
bad to worse. So now Jesse really doesn't want to talk to him. He's got a black eye because he got punched in the face.
But he decides to do the right thing. And so he decides to change his article and write a very nice article about these fitness clubs.
He takes that Emerson view, like he was
Right,
talking
yeah,
to her about, and
exactly.
he does it almost in her vein. Before he starts writing this article, though, he talks to his boss again, and again, a glimpse into his life. He's having a party, nitrogen ice cream, liquid nitrogen ice cream party, because there's a crowd of people just stirring. I was like, what are they doing with all of the dry ice?
They look like witches.
Yeah.
It's just a coven of witches at this guy's house. And yeah, he takes the phone, goes in the other room. We don't follow him.
No.
We stay with the ice cream witches, and we just hear him talking. And at one point, he just goes, we're making ice cream out of liquid nitrogen. It's like, you are living your best life
He
there,
thinks
man.
he
You're
is.
getting drunk with freaking... Who was he getting drunk with?
Michael
No, I can't
Douglas.
remember.
Yeah.
Oh, Michael
Yeah,
Douglas
yeah.
making liquid nitrogen ice cream,
all
having
your
a
rich
very
friends,
attractive younger wife.
Eating shrimp cocktails in bed. You're just having a good time. But he doesn't have a good time when he gets the said article from Travolta. He reads it and he's like, this is shit. What is this? And he has Frankie, the photographer, and another. Who is that actor that
David Paymer
Thank you.
shows up in this movie near the end. We only saw him for this podcast in Howard the Duck. But I was like, who? Where did he? Was he established earlier in this?
No.
He shows up basically at the end of this movie to rewrite the article,
Yeah.
and the camera follows him around like he's a main character.
Yeah. Well, to write the article. So he gets Travolta's notes and he writes the article
Right.
Travolta would have written. And not only is it published, it's published and it says that Travolta wrote it.
And it's published everywhere except for Morocco.
Yeah, you can't get it in Morocco. The name of
Because
the
his
article.
his boss is like, David Paymer, rewrite this thing. Also put Travolta on a plane to Morocco.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. And they go, he's going to be so pissed. He won't know. He'll be in Morocco. And he is. And the article comes out, and Travolta's kind of excited because, like you said, he's in Morocco, so he doesn't know what they've really printed.
Right, yes.
We see the press. We see it go into press, and we see that Christy Brinkley
the
does
entire
make
production
the
of a magazine.
Christy Brinkley is on the cover. It's called Looking for Mr. Goodbody, and everyone picks it up. Linda goes to pick it up as soon as it hits the stands, and it's devastating. Not only do they have this terrible view of the health club and Linda's painted as a slut, but there's also just a random picture of Jamie Lee Curtis's character working out, and then the little scandal that she had.
It's like an insert picture of her in her swim coat.
And I don't know if the article's like, yeah, it's so bad here at the health clubs that even these slutty Olympians are teaching classes.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's almost like a where are they now?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Remember these people that we dragged years back? It is so funny and kind of tragic to be like, Linda's like, oh my god, here's this article. I wonder if there might be a blurb. And for her to open it up and be like, oh no, it's like an 8-page article on how I'm a slut.
The photo is her on the thigh exercise machines. Her legs are spread, and she's like, oh. But there's also mention of Jesse's, scandal. They bring the article to Jessie, who is just working out and dancing in her mirror workout room.
Practicing on her own.
We have a sad moment where the three ladies are all just sitting and sad and pissed. Again, It's one of those moments that is kind of sweet, but it lasts longer than it needs to.
Right, yes. And I know that this movie is not a comedy, but it's a moment if there was a movie that was a little comedic, Mary Lou Henner would have just been like, but on the bright side, my boobs look great.
Yeah, I agree.
A line that would be in most other movies.
She's got a real sweet, sympathetic look. Again, it's kind of a sweet moment where these ladies, you can almost feel their emotions of anger and sadness and whatever. It's very sweet, but always, again, too long. He calls this is when we get our Morocco scene, because he calls from Morocco and just wants to make sure she's read the article.
It is so funny. It's so, because she doesn't know he's in Morocco.
No.
He is credited as writing this, and he's so proud of himself that he has turned a new leaf, and he's like, did you read that article? And she literally just hangs up on it.
She calls him a sphincter muscle, I think, one more time.
I think so, yeah.
Because
The third time someone has said that in this movie.
Yeah. And then he realizes, he calls, again, we get another random character, his assistant or somebody, or receptionist.
That's the receptionist. We did see her before, very briefly, but you're right in that when this lady showed up, I was like, who is this?
And he's got to call her. It's another phone call situation. He calls her to say, read me the article, because I can't get it here in Morocco.
And like you said, you didn't know who this character was. For a second, I was like, is this a sister that we haven't met yet? Like, who is he calling?
When he realizes the interview that he was supposed to have in Morocco, he doesn't even want to meet the guy. He's got to get back and make this right. He's like you said, he says to the guy wearing the suit with the whatever, he says, I got to go. You tell him I've got business to take care of back in the U.S. When he gets back into the U.S., he goes to the gym.
Hold on.
Go ahead, sorry.
You're going by one of the greatest scenes in cinematic history.
Really?
Because once he leaves, we can't leave Morocco without having an extended shot of this belly dancer staring into our souls for like 5 seconds. I expected her to like wink or like pull down her veil and reveal that she has a mustache.
She's the guy
like
from
a spy or something.
But she's Mackenzie.
Right?
He's everywhere.
So weird.
Yeah, it's very long. Yeah.
Oh.
But then we get back to, he flies from Morocco, I guess, right to California to try to make things right. He goes to the gym, but is told that everyone's at this, like...
Nobody's there.
Everyone's...
The Beverly Hills... Yeah, they're at, like, the Beverly Hills gym for, I'm going to say, a summit.
It's some kind of summit, some sort of expo, like you said. They're all wearing numbers, like they're in a race. They see him, and now that the article's out, everyone's like, oh, that bastard, he wrote mean things about us. They try to keep him away from Jamie Lee Curtis, but he falls down the stairs even on his way to one of her classes. And as soon as she sees him, she locks out. No, I think he walks right up to her in the middle of the class, right?
Oh, she slaps him in the middle of putting on a class. And I don't think she skips a beat. I think she's still working out and just holds
she
off
does.
on him.
She walks off of the class. They're doing some sort of horse straddle exercise. Do you remember this? Like they're pretending to ride a horse.
Yep.
She slaps him, and then her lion-headed roommate comes in and takes over the class because she's got to run off.
I assume they have a backup instructor for all the classes
Always.
in case there's like a heart attack or something. You can just drag them out of the way and someone else takes over.
He is so mad about this, Travolta.
Yeah.
Now he flies back to New York with a baseball bat to take out just, I guess, like you said, the paintings that were never hung in his boss's office.
Yeah, it's an unshaven, drunk Travolta now wanders into his boss's office with a baseball bat and smashes everything.
He's just angry.
And then goes home, but on his way, suddenly the FBI are like, we have a subpoena for you to appear in court, so this is happening.
That
too.
was one of the phone calls he had taken from his boss at some point that, again, with this side story, it was a bit scandalous that he had these tapes. The FBI was going to come for these tapes. As soon as this article was printed, it was going to open up this Pandora's box of some sort for Travolta. But Travolta didn't care. He's going to keep the tapes. He's going to keep the integrity. He's not going to sell the tapes to the government or anybody else. But in the meantime, he's so angry about the article about the fitness club that got rewritten on his behalf. Now, his boss is like, yeah, and the FBI is after you, dude. So let's forget about the one thing and focus on the other. And like you had said earlier, the next scene is him in his apartment just listening to voice messages from
forever.
There's different people that want to interview him. The FBI is leaving him a message. His boss is leaving him a message. I think even Frankie leaves him a message.
Yes, Frankie leaves him a message apologizing for taking pictures, like taking his girlfriend's picture and putting it in. But also, half of these messages start with the phone ringing, and then the other half just start with a beep of the message. So I'm like, are these messages happening in real time? And we see a little counter on the thing, and it's like
21,
message
22,
25, click, 24, click. We have to listen to at least 8 messages in their entirety.
Well, we got to know what he's up against. So he's in a
One
bad...
guy leaves the most awkward message where he's like, I am here to talk to you about the Mackenzie tapes. So give me a call back. I was like, you don't want to take 2 on that, dude? How awkward and strange.
Well, he's got a lot on his plate now. He's just, even when his boss leaves him a message, he's like, listen, we could talk about the fact that you came into my office with a baseball bat and you're very angry a little later. Right now, let's focus on the fact that you might go to jail.
We'll have to talk about that at some
We're going to have to
point.
work that out, but you also might go to jail for these Mackenzie tapes because you have to go to trial.
Also, I think you said you quit, but I didn't take that seriously. But when you're in court, you say you no longer work at Rolling Stone. Like, did you really quit? Because you're still on the payroll. Did you go to HR?
Did you take proper steps? It's all over the news now, too. This Mackenzie thing, even though we don't understand it, it's front page news. It's a big deal. Because Jamie Lee finds out that he's got to go, this is a thing, and he has to go to court, and...
So again,
is it court in New York?
He flew to New York to smash his boss's office.
But now he has to fly back to court. Yeah.
To go to court.
Yes.
For what appears to be a short afternoon, and then is immediately hauled off to jail.
Well, he says in court, because they're going to hold him in contempt of court, and if he doesn't release the tapes. And I like the judge says, all right, if I give you 12 hours... Will you maybe give us the tape in 12 hours? And he's like, no, I promise.
The judge is like the nicest judge. He's like, do you understand?
He even
that
says,
if you don't give those to me, you're going to go to jail, right? Oh, no, I understand. All right, well, like 4 p.m. today?
Yeah.
No. How about tomorrow afternoon? I mean, do you have something planned for lunch? Should we make it the evening?
Then he's like, I really hate doing this. Like, you look like such a nice guy, but I'm going to have to hold you in contempt of court and you're going to have to go. But he says, he's holding up his integrity. He says it. And Mackenzie, even on trial, kind of gives him a wink and a smile because he's like, no, I told him that I wouldn't give up the tapes and I'm not going to give up the tapes. I'm not giving them up.
I really expected this judge to be like, listen, I read your article. if you give me Linda's number, we can make all this disappear.
Not a problem.
Nobody has to get the tapes.
Not a
We don't even
problem.
have to talk about tapes anymore.
What tapes? What tapes? Who said anything about tapes? But so since he is held in contempt of court, like you said, he's now hauled off to jail.
Immediately.
And
They leave the courthouse and shove him in the back of a car and drive him to, I guess, the nearest jail.
the closest jail where he's gonna. But she is there. She screams his name. Jamie Lee is there. Adam, and it just makes him feel good to know that he saw her in court because she sat down and listened to his testimony. And then she follows him to the jail and looks at him desperately. And then we're back at court, and the verdict is read. And guess what? Mackenzie is not guilty. So I guess now...
Not guilty of, again, question mark
IDK.
offense. We
IDK
have
what?
No idea.
But now Travolta can be freed, and he can be reunited with Jesse, who, even though this article has been printed, she stands by her man.
And it's like a whirlwind. They walk out. He gets in her car. Mm-hmm. He ignores the press because we know the press, they're all terrible anyway. He gets in his car. They kiss. And then we get the greatest closing credits in cinematic history.
Those were pretty fun. They were pretty fun. Then we've talked about these closing credits where the actors are all in a workout class, kind of thrusting and doing their thing. It's fun.
And all surrounded by the same people.
Right.
Also working out.
Class,
it's like they just brought them in one at a time, and we're like, no, we don't need to change out the extras.
No.
They know the moves. They know the steps. We'll just keep them in.
Just keep them in. Yeah.
Oh, it's so that ending. I don't know if it made it all worthwhile. If it didn't, it almost made it all worthwhile.
It helped to wrap it up with a smile. Because there were points that we talked about. Well, okay, so tell me, what did you think of the movie overall?
I feel like I have very complicated feelings about this movie because I did not enjoy it. Like, I can't really recommend that everybody run out and see it.
No.
But it was one of those things where I was like, every time I was bored... I was about to say or confused. I think I was confused through the whole movie. I never knew what was happening. There was either something said that was really funny or something happening that was really crazy and shouldn't be in this movie. It's not a comedy, but I laughed way more times than I should have during this movie.
Yeah.
If it was not 2 hours, if it was the same movie but was an hour and a half, I think I would tell everybody they need to watch it.
I agree. If it was shortened a little bit, edited better, perhaps, I would say I would recommend it more. Just there's a lot of nostalgia in there with the 80s. Travolta and Jamie Lee are enjoyable to watch. I think that's what else helps this movie get through the 2 hours. Even though the plot and some of the scenes are a little bit confusing, like you said, some of them are interesting or funny enough to just keep you going, and they're just happen so randomly that you're like, all right, what are we gonna do next here? And the health club people are fun enough, you know what I mean? And so, but I feel like you, and it did help. The ending did help kind of leave my feelings on a better note when it ended. But yeah, I wouldn't say I really liked this movie. I sort of enjoyed parts of it.
It's just like one of those things where I think people should see it just to see, like, this thing was made.
Yeah.
Like, somebody thought this was a good idea. Actors signed on to it. It's a mess. It's a huge mess of a movie that makes little to no sense and doesn't really care about its plot line that people that might have more substance to it, and they keep referencing, but it's never fully explained what's happening with this.
And you have 2 hours to do that.
2 hours, and you can't. There's nothing to hold on to in this movie other than the workout scenes.
Yeah.
This movie really, like, any time it teased out a movie that might have a plot, it immediately cuts to just workouts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. So it's a maybe.
It's a maybe.
It really
I like
is
it.
a maybe.
Lukewarm. It's a lukewarm recommendation, if that. Yeah.
Oh. And what a way, again, like, we're 2 Jamie Lee movies into December, and I kind of am sort of excited about both of them and excited to talk about the third one, which we'll get into in a minute. So.
Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations?
I do. So you don't.
You do?
You
Good.
don't
All
have
right.
that Apple TV, do you?
I do not.
Oh, well. Well, for anyone that does, or you could watch the preview and probably get the gist. There's a show that came out on Apple TV, and I was so excited about it, but I ended up feeling about this show the same as I did about this movie. where I'm like, if they change some of the things, I like it more. I like the premise, but so the show's called Physical. It's with Rose Byrne, that actress, and it's really fun. She plays a fitness instructor in the 80s, and she's who kind of rises to fame. I only watched maybe 2 to 3 episodes. She looks great in it. It's set in the 80s in California. Fitness instructor, you see how it can relate. She's clearly has an eating disorder and some imbalances there. But from the episodes I watched, her husband is also trying to get into politics and the government, and they take his story, just like in this movie, how they take the side story, and you're kind of like, what are we doing here? They take his side story of wanting to be in the politics too far. I only gave it 3 episodes in. Some people did enjoy it, but it is about a fitness instructor in the 80s, and I do love Rose Byrne. She looks adorable in the show. But so I guess I'm recommending a show that I don't necessarily like. It's called Physical. I don't know if I said that.
Maybe watch more episodes than I did.
Yeah, maybe
again.
I felt the way about this show that I felt the way about this movie. So
okay, I like that. And boy, I don't know if I feel the same about my recommendation. My recommendation, Jamie, I don't watch anything on Disney Plus. Like we have it so that my kids can watch stuff, but like the moment my kids are old enough to not be into Disney stuff, I will cancel the subscription. It's such a waste of money and time. But have you watched any of that Beatles documentary?
No, is it good?
Oh my God, it's so good.
Excellent.
Yes.
All right.
It's called Get Back, and it's only about the few weeks that the Beatles basically have to record an album, to write songs for what would be their last album, and to record a show. But it's all like they got 60 plus hours of them just hanging out in a studio, just coming up with songs that would become super famous.
Wow, and it's the video footage of it? That is awesome. Yeah, I got to check it out.
It's really great because it really is just the 4 of them hanging out with their guitars and Ringo sitting on drums, not saying a goddamn word to anybody. And it really is them just like, they'll play a little bit of music and then just start dicking around with words, and then it becomes a song. Like, and they're doing this over the course of like 2 weeks. It's really cool.
Cool.
And I forget what else I was going to say, but it's like 4 parts that are each 2 hours long. And I do like just put it on and like fall asleep and to it and everything, which it might not be the most like, great recommendation, but it's really, really great, and people should definitely check that out.
Yeah, thanks.
Right. I can see that you have the peace ways going. So if
I'm sorry. It's these afternoon recordings. I've had coffee. I've had water.
All right. Well, then I will simply say very quickly, our final Jamie Lee Sember movie is going to be A Fish Called Wanda.
I'm excited about it. Yeah.
Wanda?
Yeah,
or Fish Named Wanda?
Fish Called Wanda. Yeah.
Yes. And that'll put us to the end of Jamie Lee Sember. It's been a blast.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to actually watch a legitimate comedy. I hope I laugh at it more than I did. Boy, if I don't laugh at that more than these first 2, that might be a travesty.
Yeah.
But anyway, everybody, Jamie's really got to run. So we will talk to you again in 2 weeks. Until that time, everybody, have a great 2 weeks.
Let's get physical. I don't know. That's not.
That's the way the podcast ends. Don't
Hello?
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 Hello? Yes, hello.
Hello.
Hello? Yes, Mark.
Hello? Hello.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes?
Hello.
This is Adam Lawrence. Leave a message at the beep.
Adam, it's Martin.
Hello, Mr. Lawrence.
Like, one of the dumbest cliches is when people are like, oh, boy, you couldn't make Blazing Saddles now. Boy, that movie's just racist and offensive. Okay, fine. You couldn't make this now because it's so stupid and boring.